We are honored today to have with us Safora Sadidi. She is a member of the Mujahideen Khalq and is part of the Iranian Resistance. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you for
So
having me.
you bet. So you're in Albania, correct? Or are you in Paris at this
No,
point?
I'm in Paris right now.
Okay. Okay, great. So,
I'm
uh,
actually a member of the Women's Committee in NCRI.
okay, I got my mistake. Thank you.
Oh.
There's been a lot of women involved in the MEK, or in the movement, the NCRI, the entire resistance movement. Why did you get involved?
Actually, I was born in a family
Hmm.
where many of my relatives, including my own father, I mean, both my parents, they were part
Hmm.
of the resistance movement.
Hmm.
But the seven members of my family, including my own father, gave their lives for Iran's freedom. And
Hmm.
my father was actually only 33 years old when he got
Hmm.
executed in the
Hmm.
1988 massacre of 30,000 political prisoners.
Hmm.
I was a couple of months when my father got arrested. He actually got arrested several times. So
Hmm.
I really never had the chance to experience living with my own father like other children.
Hmm.
But seeing the sacrifice of tens of thousands of others, like my father, I actually decided to take a different path for the freedom of my country.
Hmm.
The same path that, of course, my father chose, and also 120,000 of Iran's best people have given their lives for. And this path and this belief or this, this values have been carried on through generations after generations in Iran, and it is still continuing as you see today.
Yeah, the women are very involved. That's what struck me after spending some time with the movement in Paris and in Albania, is that the women actually lead the organization, and they're very involved in the resistance itself. Can you tell us about that, especially in the recent uprisings?
Yes, sure. Actually, as you said, it's I think it's a very good question because
Hmm.
sometimes people think that maybe the woman leadership is something that happened like in the recently because
Yeah.
of the Mahsa Amini uprising, but the
Hmm.
reality is it has a background.
Hmm.
And what I have learned myself about the Iran's history of struggle, especially better that we have a struggle for like 120 years, and
Hmm.
women have always been in these struggles, for equality, for against dictatorship, but precisely against this dictatorship, I can tell
Hmm.
you that because this regime's main feature is misogyny,
Hmm.
that's why women are at the forefront of this fight. And
Hmm.
this movement, which has been going on for decades now, the women's movement is from all part of society. Young women and girls from students, teachers, schoolgirls, doctors, and many others. They have stood up and they have paid a very heavy price until now. And from the other side, Todd, I must tell you that there is an organized resistance, as you know, led by a Muslim woman, Mayam Rajavi, who
Hmm.
leads this movement together with 1,000 women who are in the leadership role. So this actually inspired the women and the young people inside Iran to rise up against this regime and to fight for their freedom. And keeping this history in mind, we can see why in the recent uprisings, women and youth and the
Hmm.
young people have played such an important role, especially in the 2022 uprisings, which was led by women and which
Hmm.
lasted for months, and it was, spread across the whole country.
That was that happened after the death of Masa Amini. Did I pronounce her name right?
Yeah, yeah, correctly, Mahsa
Yeah.
Amini.
Yeah. So, what happened to her, by the way? She was pulled into custody and murdered in custody. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, indeed, she was. Yeah,
Okay.
that she was.
So, let's move to Iran itself. What do you see happening on the ground in Iran right now?
Actually, right now, I can tell you that the situation is more vital than it has ever been. The regime has never been so weak.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
And I know that there is some, some are advocating for civil disobedience, or maybe people are thinking that how the change will happen in Iran. The reality is that the clerical regime in Iran belongs to the Middle Ages. And from the start, they have responded to any call for freedom with violence and bullets. So those who promote civil disobedience are either naive or they don't want to pay the real price for freedom. Without even realizing it, they help the regime by distracting people from the real fight for freedom. But the message from the Iranian people, the resistant units, and the rebellious youth in Iran is what Thomas Jefferson said, that the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure. So the situation in Iran is, as we say, there is no, it cannot be changed with appeasement nor war. There is a third option, which is change by the Iranian people and their organized resistance inside Iran. We can actually, sorry.
No worries.
It was my phone.
No
This
worries.
is how we are going to, free the country.
And so just to make that clear, you're saying that civil disobedience, where you just, sit in the streets or whatever, is not going to get the job done. You need the resistance on the ground to overthrow internally the regime. Is that what you're saying, essentially?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the people are inside the country with their organized resistance can make change to Iran, of course.
And does the NCRI, which is the political arm of the resistance movement outside the country, does it have plans for a post-theocracy, environment in Iran?
Of course it has. Actually, Mrs. Maimuna Javi, the president-elect of the NCRI, for 2 decades ago, she presented a 10-point plan. And this plan calls for establishing a democratic, non-nuclear republic with separation of religion and state, equality between men and women, rights for all ethnic groups, and an independent judiciary, and the abolition of the death penalty, of course. And we also want a pluralistic system that always supports peace in the Middle East. According to the NCRI, within 6 months after the fall of this regime, a constituent and legislative assembly will be formed through a free election. And once this assembly is formed, it will then write the constitution for the new republic, which will be put to vote, of course.
Well, people, a lot of analysts or talking heads say, well, we had, Libya, we had other countries in the Middle East, Iraq, and others that were destabilized from a regime change, and that causes just chaos. What say you about what the resistance wants to happen in Iran to not let that happen?
That's a very good question. I must tell you that unlike many countries in the region shaped by colonial borders, Iran was never a formal colony, you can say. It has maintained unity despite having different ethnic and religious groups. There's Kurds, there is Azeris, there is Baluchis, and other ethnic groups. They have remained as a nation. So compared to the divided society, for example, in Iraq or in Syria, Iran's unity remains very strong. And so I must tell you that the real source of chaos or instability in the region is really the current regime, which has fueled conflict across the Middle East by using proxy forces and doing all this damage that we are seeing today. So when this regime is removed, there can be real peace and stability in the Middle East.
Well, that's been an issue for me. I vocally have been against, we've been through war after war after war in the United States. We're tired, our money's gone, our weapons stores are depleted. We don't want to get into another war. So, and Trump has said that. What I guess the question is, what do you need from the U.S.? What do you need from the West to help take down the regime internally without foreign interference?
Very good question. Our resistance, we have repeatedly stated that we do not seek money, nor weapons or foreign troops to bring change to Iran. What we are, our people of Iran, they expect from the international community is to recognize the right of the Iranian people and the Iranian resistance to bring about regime change in Iran. And change cannot be realized by foreign intervention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Is there anything else you want to get out to the world since I have you?
No, just thanking you for letting me be in this show. And I hope that in a free Iran, we can invite you, Todd, because I know you have been working very strongly with our movement and, my colleagues, Ali and Farzin and all of my colleagues in the NCRI. And I hope that we can see you soon. We can invite you soon to a free Iran.
Well, we support freedom here. So thank you very much for the invitation. Take care.
Thank you.